All right, so the Colfax City Council meeting of February 11th, 2026 is now in session. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Hey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Burris? Absent. Councilmember Douglas?
Present.
Councilmember Lohman?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hilberg? And Mayor McCauley.
Right here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Awesome, thank you. All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda order?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, so agenda order has been approved. Do we have any conflict of interest from the council? Nope.
No change.
No change?
Nope.
Fantastic. All right, so our consent calendar, all items on the listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion with the council vote unless a council member and or member of the public request an item to be pulled. Items pulled will be addressed after council completes the consent calendar vote and will require a separate motion. Are there any items the council would like to pull?
Not here.
Nope. All right, anything from the public that you'd like to pull? Nope. All right, do we have a motion then to approve the consent calendar?
I move so. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. All right, motion passes. Consent calendar is approved. Thank you very much. All righty, so let's go to city project reports. Agency reports? That's what I thought, but this one put city project reports first. No, that's part of their consent. Sorry. I'm like, wait, what am I looking at there? All right, so agency reports. Let's start with Placer County Sheriff.
Good evening. How's everybody doing today? Good. Sergeant Toby Williams, Placer County Sheriff's Office. For last month of January, we had 130 total incidents here in Colfax. 18 reports were taken, only 5 transient-related calls for service. We made 32 traffic stops. We had arrested 6 people for a variety of different things. And we assisted our agency partners on 7 different occasions. It's pretty equal with deputy versus citizen initiated calls, with citizens having 69 calls for service they initiated and deputies were proactive with 61. Nothing of significant note from last month, but I wanted to touch on last week. I'm sure the town was abuzz with the events that happened at Colfax Elementary last Thursday. So with what I can explain and tell you is that obviously we got somebody who had called and said that there was somebody walking around near the campus with a firearm or rifle of some sort. We obviously amassed our troops, went up to the high school and secured both the high school and elementary school. And during the investigation, although our reporting party was less than helpful, jumped around a little bit and didn't make a lot of sense. So despite the fact that we believe the call was kind of fake, we just, out of abundance of caution, did the full workup, sheltered in place both schools, and with the assistance of CHP, SAC PD's helicopter, and CAL FIRE, we had 22 PCSO units up here between the 2 schools, and basically walk through and make sure that it was, in fact, we couldn't find anything. We do believe that that call was associated with an arrest that we made just prior to that, where we arrested a felon with several firearms. Although we can't confirm, the timing is there. So we're taking the steps needed to try to investigate who made the call. Whether it's related or not, the bottom line is that we want to go forward with prosecution if it's deemed that it was in fact a fake thing. So it might take a while, but I'm done playing games with how people are using schools as an excuse to deal with something. So with that, I have nothing else, and I'd be happy to take any questions anybody has. Yes, sir.
If that's the way, that
Mhm. It's going to depend on what the threat is, number one, what our resources are, and what the best way to evacuate is. So if a threat's coming in one way, obviously we can't evacuate the kids that way. We have to go someplace else. But we do, not, obviously not favorable ones, just because it's a lot easier to go out Tokiana and, down Placer Hills or out of town, just depending on which way we go. But we have contingencies in place. So. Mhm. Anybody else? Excellent. Thank you.
All right, CHP.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Officer Jason Lyman, California Highway Patrol Gold Run Area Public Information Officer. I wanted to start out first with introducing our new Lieutenant Commander, Lieutenant Kilkenny here, and I'll let him give you a little background on himself here.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city manager, members of the public. I just want to take a quick moment to introduce myself. Like Lieutenant Lyman, or excuse me, Officer Lyman, he's got a promotion, said that I am the new commander at the Gold Run CHP office. I just can't tell you how happy I am to be here. This has been a far-fetched dream for me to work in this area. I've been on the department for roughly 18 years, had a variety of different roles, field and administratively. With my most recent position before I took over the Gold Run Command was the commander of the Willows Command, which is up in Glenn County. And I live in Lincoln, so it made for very, very long days of commuting back and forth. I've had my eye on here for a long time. Over my 18+ career, I've never worked in the county that I've lived in. So I'm home. It's taken a long time for me to get here. I'm fully invested in this community, and I'm really, really looking forward to working and living in this community. I just wanted you guys to know a little bit about myself and what kind of drives me and what we're going to be doing up in the Gold Run CHP office. Some of our priorities are to reduce the fatals and serious injury crashes within our jurisdiction. It's a huge problem. I know I-80 is a major choking point for when things go bad, like the weather and the storm coming up. And then we also have big rigs. So that is a big focus of us to reduce those incidents on the I-80 and in our community. Secondly is to reduce crime, obviously in California, but in Placer County specifically. And last is I want to reaffirm our commitment to you guys in the public and also us to the key stakeholders to work together hand in hand. Again, super excited to be here. It's really a quick bio down and dirty on about me. Does anyone have any questions for me at this point? Yes, ma'am. I am. I've only been here since January 1st. I've had the luxury to talk to my staff. I'm still learning. Now, I lived in the area, but it's a different thing to know the area like we're required to know it. So I've been driving the area weekly to learn the back roads, all the side roads. Very familiar with everybody telling me, and as well as the mayor telling me that when we shut down 80, everybody uses their GPS and it takes to the side roads. And I know it is a major point here in Colfax that it does, traffic comes to basically a parking lot.
Just because I have that one for at least a quarter of a month, and I just find it very dangerous. I have all so that I thought.
Are you talking about the roundabouts in there or?
That's related to school. It's always, it's congested at the, dropping off and picking up of kids is the biggest portion of that. That is, when you try to get in on or off at around 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, it is going to be packed in there. And then same thing around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that is, majority of that is related to all the traffic going into the schools.
I've lived there for 30 years. It's been too bad. Recently, once, a few years, so.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I think that the construction on 49 has had a big impact on that, the amount of people exiting here on 174, because you kind of see an ebb and flow with when they have more construction going on.
I'd agree with that. Thank you. Anything else for me before I hand it over? Thank you very much.
All right, I just wanted to go over some of our stats like I normally do here. Last month, for the month of January, we issued 604 citations and a total of 410 warnings. We had a total of 17 arrests. 14 of those were DUI related. We had, we had a total of 31 collisions. 26 of those were property damage only, and 5 were injury collisions. We did not have any fatality collisions, thankfully. So we are definitely out there trying to make a difference. We're out there patrolling and trying to do what we can to make things as smooth as possible. As far as weather related things, this little storm that we've got right now really didn't affect too much today. Had some chain control up at the top, King Vale to Truckee, on and off a few times today. But next week is predicted to be a very large storm. They're talking about 6+ feet of snow in the Blue Canyon area. So that is likely to cause some pretty significant delays, very likely road freeway closures if it's comes to that extent, because that's 6 feet is supposed to be within like 3 to 4 days. So that's going to be, very tough to maintain that kind of cleanup on there. And if there's any kind of major accidents or collisions with involving the, big rigs and different things blocking lanes, it really chokes things down. So please be aware of that for next week and be prepared for long delays. And hopefully we won't be having to stop it here at Colfax, but if things happen up the hill, this is where it usually gets turned around here at Colfax to get all the traffic off the mountain. So does anybody have any questions for me? All right. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, doesn't look like CAL FIRE was able to join us, but we do have a new addition to our agency reports, and this is Caltrans, and that is Sean Shaw is our representative. Please join us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully I can give you guys some updates, take your questions in case there are things that I can't answer. My name is Sean Shaw. I'm the Caltrans District 3 project manager for Interstate 80 primarily, although I have some other projects. From what I understand, a lot of residents have some questions about one of our upcoming projects. It's a project that we're calling the Blue Canyon Pavement Rehabilitation Project. There's a number of other projects that are going on. I know it's been very busy here on Interstate 80 lately. We're trying to do a lot of pavement rehabilitation, bridge replacement, a lot of other work, replacing guardrail, concrete median barriers. We're trying to improve the operations on the facility by constructing some truck climbing lanes. But specifically about the Blue Canyon project, let me just give you guys some quick information, and then I'll take as many questions as you guys would like. So the Blue Canyon project, right now we're in the process of awarding it to a contractor. We've received bids from 4 or 5 different contractors. We're estimating that we'll have it awarded to the low bid and responsive contractor approximately in March of 2026. And we're expecting that we'll be able to come to terms and have an approved contract with them approximately in April. What that means, typically, once we have awarded the project and we have, signed a contract to do the work, we give the contractors roughly a month or 2 months during which they kind of plan out their work, start the purchase of their materials, submit, documents to us that we have to approve, such as, what kind of pavement they're going to be using, what kind of concrete they're going to be using. We like to review all that beforehand. So I'm estimating that approximately in June or July, that big project will be in construction in earnest, I guess I'd say. We think it's going to take approximately 3 construction seasons to complete. Some of that probably will start this construction season, although we can't say for sure just because, the nature and the schedule of the project is up to the contractor. Sometimes they use that as a competitive advantage in bidding the project. There's 3 locations. So the first location starts roughly near the Crowther Road undercrossing and extends to the Weimar Crossroad undercrossing. A second location, quite a ways away actually, starts at Magra Overhead Bridge and goes to Gold Run overcrossing. And then we have a third segment, which is pretty much up by Nevada County. That one starts at the Blue Canyon undercrossing and goes to the Putz Lake undercrossing. Let's see here. So I think I'll pause there and just see if anybody has any specific questions in regards to this project.
I have a brief question. Are we going to the public first? I've read about a widening in the Weimar area.
Yes.
Does this project include that?
I believe so, yes. Although, and I say that just because we have 2 or 3 projects that are in construction right now. And if you kind of look at the project limits for those projects in construction and this one, they all kind of line up.
Okay, thank you.
The widening is for a truck climbing lane. It's going to be 12-foot wide. That's a standard lane width. That's going to be to hopefully improve freight mobility and just operations. So we don't have the big slowdowns, when the trucks have to climb. And then as part of that, to make the widening possible, we're doing some retaining wall construction. And in a few locations, we have sound walls to mitigate traffic impacts to residents.
So this year then?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Yes. Like the extents, the lengths of it? Resident for 12 feet. Down. So where exactly along? Let me see here. So I guess I'd have to say I don't know the exact length of it. I know it's near Ponderosa Way. We had to do kind of a residential survey, I think it was Powley Lane. We sent out kind of a survey as part of our sound wall study. I think we did that about 1.5 years ago. I will get better information though for you, where exactly it starts and where it stops. You're very welcome.
There's sound that is pretty confined.
Yes, so obviously during construction, I mean, we do look at that. We have to put together what's called an environmental document whenever we do one of these big projects, and that's one of the things that we look at. We look at sound during construction and then after construction. Uh, I I'd have to review the environmental document to let you know the results, but I believe we had a mitigated negative declaration. I think that's what the impact is called. It is, yes. I could point you to where to find that. Um, yes, typically we don't release the plans until they go out to bid, but now that the project has been bid on, we have pretty good idea of what the final plans are going to look like. We are working on some addendums to the plan set right now. And obviously there's some changes that occur to the project plans during construction. Sometimes we find unforeseen conditions. Like, for example, we might encounter hard rock or things like that that we weren't sure that was going to be there, and we have to make modifications. But generally, the overall layout of what we're doing is not going to change, just the details. And I can also point you to where those are, but they are publicly available now. So I can't speak exactly to the staging, but what I will say is that we're going to be replacing two bridges as part of this project. One is going to be the Weimar overcrossing, and then the other one, a little bit further up, is going to be the Blue Canyon undercrossing. And part of the reason why we're replacing those bridges, number one, is I think some of those bridges were old. They just kind of reached their useful life. And then the other reason is some of the bridges we had the choice to either widen it to accommodate the new truck climbing lanes, or we just replaced it. We did life cycle analysis and figured out that it would improve our maintenance costs if we just replaced the bridge instead of trying to do like a little 10-foot widening. Yes, sir. Is the west? Right. I know what you mean. So I guess I'd have to say we are aware of the tight radius. It's not what we like to do. It is an existing condition though. For the type of money that we have for this project, it's more tied to rehabilitating the pavement, upgrading the guardrail, things like that. So we couldn't rebuild, the off-ramp itself, because the reason for replacing that bridge, I think, was primarily to construct the truck climbing lane. So we will have to essentially perpetuate that existing geometry. Yes, sir.
So the westbound off to Colfax, there have been multiple accidents, things like that, some of the guardrail is replaced every couple of weeks. And
Yes.
just wondering what your process is. And if you get reports from emergency departments to verify for, and then how will that get improved? Fortunately, the way it is now, it can be pretty.
Yes, I'm definitely aware of that issue. I guess just as a speaking to the process, what happens is when there's an accident, CHP investigates, that gets uploaded to a database. They report on, the number of crashes, whether there were, property damage, whether there were fatalities, injuries, et cetera, right? They give us a lot of detail. And then we take that and we assess a variety of locations throughout the state. And we kind of assess which ones need to get upgraded, and we kind of rank them. I don't know all the details of how exactly that's ranked. But for this project specifically, pretty much throughout the length of the three segments, one thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing the metal beam guardrail, which is the wooden posts, with the kind of the, sheet metal barrier. We're going to be replacing that and we're going to be upgrading it to concrete barrier, which I think is more durable and has a better chance of keeping the traffic, in the lanes. And then we're also going to be upgrading the median barrier to a taller concrete barrier. Because I know, I've driven up here at night sometimes too, going up and down the hill, and you get a lot of glare, especially from big rigs. And so I think we're upgrading it from, I think it's a 42-inch barrier now. I think it's getting about a foot taller. Yes.
Just seems like there's so many trucks up and down.
Yes, so we do look at the percentage of the traffic that's related to trucks. The truck volume, it's going to steadily increase, I think, for the most part. That's one of the reasons we're upgrading the median barrier, because I guess I'd say the principal reason we put those concrete median barriers is to keep big trucks and traffic from crossing over to, opposite lanes of traffic, which is obviously extremely dangerous. But we do look at the truck traffic. The truck traffic is actually what does probably 99% of the damage to the road itself. So we definitely pay close attention to that. And that's why we have this whole, I guess I'd say, suite of projects, all in, up and down Plosser and Nevada 80, because, I think you guys drive these roads quite a bit. They need a lot of work, and, yeah. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for joining me.
Oh, no problem at all. Were there any other questions?
I have one more, just a brief
Yeah.
question. What would be involved in some sort of a check-in station up there at where the big rigs are supposed to check their brakes? Where they actually had to stop and go in and punch a card into a machine or something like that? Would that take state law changes?
So
I see them still driving by there.
like a weigh station.
Just something that where you could look back and check if they actually checked their
Check
brakes or
their-
not. If they actually stopped and got out of their truck. And right now, there's no way to know whether they stopped or not, pretty much, unless the highway patrol knows. It's just a thought.
I can definitely look into that. I think any trucker that doesn't check their brakes, going down especially, is asking for trouble.
They could set fire to the whole mountain. But yeah, it
Yes.
is trouble because a lot of them are automatic. They can't slow down using downshifting.
Right.
And there's a lot of burning brakes and smoke up and down that, or people coming down that highway. It's just a thought, that's all. I'm wondering if it would be doable. And then the truckers, if something happened, would have a way to demonstrate that, yes, I actually stopped and got out of my big rig.
And check them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get back to you at that. I never had that experience of putting in a new one, and actually I don't know if we actually have brake check stations where it's enforced. Yeah.
Well, I think you got it. Thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate you being
Okay.
willing to commit your evening to us. So
Very-
we'll see you again next month.
Yep, and let me know if you guys have any other further questions. I can try and come a little bit more prepared and have answers for you.
Perfect. If you can send me the links to where the plans are for Weimar, and then I can post them and send them to people, that would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
I could probably just email you the plans. They are quite large. I'll probably only send you some of them.
Okay.
And then if you have more questions, then I can get you what you need.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate you joining us. Alrighty, moving on. Let's see, do we have any, it doesn't look like we have any of our nonprofits here to do any reports this evening. I don't think, so we'll move right on. No pub presentations or public hearings, so we are into public comment. So every member of the public has the opportunity to address city council for comment. You may speak to the council on any item that is not on the agenda. We can't act on it, but we can definitely take notes and defer something to staff if needs be. So if we have any public comment, please join us at the podium. Thanks, guys. Oh, doesn't look like the public wants to come on either. Hopefully they're saving it all for tomorrow night. So we will move on to committee reports. So Sean, do you want to start us off?
Yep. So I had a meeting with New Line and mayor and city staff and Ty Connors. We discussed the Sourcewell contracting process, and it sounds like New Line's pretty confident that they'll be able to deliver on what they'd signed for what we have. Had another meeting with the Mighty Village Group and talked about some possibilities there, and hoping to get new plans and talk with the tribe and make sure we get everything worked out soon. Just came from the LAFCO meeting. Placer Hills successfully completed their merger with Newcastle Fire District. So that's good news for them and Newcastle. Talked about Colfax Cemetery District, MSR, and their board is understaffed. So they're looking for people to join the cemetery board. Colfax MSR is moving forward, and our SOI, our MSR, our municipal service review, and our sphere of influence or study are both moving forward. Suburban Pines is undergoing their MSR also, and they will probably dissolve, and we may look at annexation there. And they basically serve 11 fire hydrants. So not a huge annexation, but that's all I had.
Okay, I am the backup. I'm not the primary on any committee, so this year I probably won't be giving too many reports. Although, like Sean, I did meet with the cemetery board, and they are looking for volunteers. It's an unpaid position, or they pay even less than a city council member. But if anybody's interested, contact one of us. And it may not sound like an exciting job, but we need people on the board. And I just wanted to report that a few days ago, Sunday, second Sunday of the month at the VFW is the pancake breakfast. So we had a good turnout, but it's a good way to support the VFW and meet your neighbors, because where else do you meet your neighbors? Not at a bar. No.
We got rid of those.
That's all.
I don't know how Kim managed to not be the primary on anything. We need to completely redo all of the committee assignments.
You're giving me the cold shoulder.
No, it had no intentions on that one. All right, Larry.
I have nothing to report, but I do have 3 meetings between now and the end of the month. So I'll have something to say next time. But I wonder if it's appropriate. I know a little bit from Josh regarding that sphere of influence. Can you comment on that? Just briefly, maybe people out there would like to know what that is, what that's all about, and what we're doing.
Yeah,
I have no more.
So the sphere of influence is basically studying where the city has influence, where we might be able to provide services, such as sewer and road maintenance and city maintenance. So that's basically what the study's doing, saying where we could have an influence and where we do have an influence currently. And we're going to look over that and possibly expand that sphere of influence based on sewer services. We have another item coming up here talking about Shady Glen, and that is kind of what spurred in the sphere of influence study and MSR. Not to mention we were pretty far behind on having them done, because generally we do them on a regular basis.
I just wholly agree with that. Sphere of influence is a way we can protect ourselves and have something to say about the area rather than just within our own city limits. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, as Sean said, him and I had two different meetings in the last couple of weeks, both in regards to the skate park and My New Village. I had a SACOG meeting down in Sacramento yesterday, which is just always about how they're going to divide the money and see what we can get for Colfax out of it. In addition to that, oh, there was something else. Oh, I got to meet our new CHP lieutenant who introduced himself this evening and lots of other little things aside from that. So that's about it. It's all you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see, this week, staff and I continue to work at the Lowry's and the Colfax Hotel project. We expect them to pull the trigger to start construction almost anytime. With the possibility of finishing construction sometime in September, knock on wood, all things being equal. We'll talk to Gordon Allen about his gym project. He's, thinks it will start this spring as well. So there'll be lots of good stuff coming up in Colfax in the spring. City maintenance has been cleaning up the ball fields, including repair and repainting the restrooms, kind of give them a new flooring, that kind of thing, dress them back up. They're pretty beat up right now. And then they removed graffiti from Arbor Park and then done a bunch of vegetation cleanup in the same area in the park over there. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. First item on council with this business this evening is our audit report as of fiscal year ended on June 30th of 2025. City manager?
Yeah, thank you. This evening, the city council will receive the city's annual financial audit for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2025. The audit is an independent review conducted by the city's external auditors to evaluate the accuracy of the city's financial statements, internal controls, and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. The annual audit is an important tool for ensuring transparency, accountability, and sound financial management. It provides the council and the public with an objective assessment of the city's financial conditions and confirms that public funds are being managed responsibly. Tonight, we have Heather, gosh darn it, I'm tongue-tied tonight. Ipoletti, and she's would kind of took over the audit when Shanna had moved on from us. And she's going to give a brief overview and then introduce Ingrid Schuppeline from Richards and Company LLP, who performed the audit. Heather?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The city manager just actually gave most of the little introduction I was going to give, but I'm going to do it again. It's okay. This evening, the action before you is to accept and receive the fiscal year 24-25 audit report. In accordance with federal, state, and local statutes, the city engaged an independent auditing firm to perform a financial audit for fiscal year ending June 30th of 25. Ingrid Schuppeline from Richardson and Company is here for a detailed presentation. And with that brief introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Ingrid. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm just going to be highlighting some of the information that's on the one-page outline. I believe it's the page that's right after this. So this outline just touches upon the various reports that we issued as a result of the audit. The first item on the outline just lists the various reports that we issued as a result of the audit. And so I'll highlight those reports this evening. Starting with the independent auditor's report. So that's the main goal of our audit, is to be able to issue an opinion on the financial statements. And this is considered a clean opinion, unmodified opinion on the financial statements, indicating that they are fairly presented in accordance with required accounting principles. As far as the highlights of the financial statements, I'm going to keep the numbers really high level. But just to summarize some of the financial information that's contained within the report, looking at the governmental activities, which is all of the city's general fund, all the special revenue funds, all funds combined, you're showing about revenue exceeding expenses or adding to your reserves by about 3.3 million. About 1.8 million of that was for capital grants for road projects. Looking at just the general fund, you had revenues exceeding expenses by 1.9 million, increasing the reserves. So the general fund is up to a positive, unrestricted, undesignated fund balance of 5.6 million. And that's in addition to the 1.3 million of reserves that the city has set aside in accordance with the reserve policy. And those items total about 1.3 million. That includes the operating reserve and the capital reserve. So overall, the city's financial condition continues to improve as you've seen over the last several years to be able to accumulate funds to keep in reserve for emergencies and for various projects. Looking at the budget compared to the actual results, the general fund's revenues exceeded budget by about 832,000. About 600,000 of that is in the sales tax that were much higher than what was originally projected. Expenses were lower than the budget by about 371,000, mostly in the areas of personnel costs and also some capital projects that didn't occur as anticipated. So overall, you budgeted for a surplus or adding to the reserves in the general fund of 635,000, and you ended up with a surplus of 1.9. So definitely did better than what you had budgeted. Then looking at the sewer fund, it also had revenues exceeding expenses during the year of about 3.6 million. The reserves available is 3.6 million. And then in addition to that, or included in that is reserves set aside. There's an operating reserve and capital reserve. Both of those reserve levels were increased during the year by about 140,000. Looking at the liabilities of the city, really your liabilities are pretty minimal. You have a unfunded pension liability, but it's only about 237,000, which is very low in comparison to a lot of other governmental entities where that number can be quite large. So that is being kept, under control. The city is making contributions that are required by CalPERS. The only debt that the city has is related to the sewer system upgrades. That loan is at about 5.7 million, and you are making annual principal payments during the year of about 400,000 to pay that loan down. Next is the report on internal control and compliance, and this is also a clean report. So this indicates that there were no weaknesses that we noted in internal controls. And because of the federal funding that was received during the year, there's about 1.5 million of CDBG money that was received for some of the street projects. We also had to issue or do some additional testing for compliance with the laws and regulations governing those funds. And so that was also a clean report indicating the city complied with those required laws and regulations. The next report I'd like to discuss is the governance letter. That letter contains certain items that were required to discuss with you. There were listed in there is the fact that we had 4 adjustments during the audit process, which is very minimal considering the amount of funds that you have and the level of transactions. So overall, the city's accounting records are in good condition. Also, we issued a separate management letter, which indicates also that we had no weaknesses or in internal controls, but if we identify areas where we recommend improvement, we bring that up in that letter. We just had one recommendation that had to do with the capital asset policy and recommending that policy be updated to describe the useful lives of the assets. So that you have a standardized method for using that for depreciation. And then also developing a policy for approval of asset disposals. Typically, what happens is assets are declared as surplus, approved by the council, and then disposed from there. So we're recommending that the capital asset policy be revised to include that in the policy. So overall, a good, clean audit, and I'd like to open it up to any questions or any areas you'd like me to clarify.
We'll start with the public. Does anybody have any questions in regards to our city audit? Well, if Tim doesn't have any questions, then we did really good. Got to remember the public wants to be able to hear you too. I'm sorry, Tim.
Yeah, here you go.
Hi, Tim Ryan, Treasurer of the City of Colfax. If you were to grade this on a scale of A to F, what is the grade that we get? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Do we have any other questions from the public? No, all right. Go right ahead, gentlemen.
I had a question. It's very similar to Tim. My name is Kim. I was going to ask how we compare to the other cities in our county. Auburn, Loomis, Lincoln.
We don't audit all of those cities. We audit one of the ones that you just named off. So I can't really speak to, how you compare, but as far as the cleanliness of the records, and I'd say that definitely you rank higher compared to what we see, what we've seen with some of the other smaller cities that we audit. So, yeah.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to let the viewing public know that we're in better shape than probably 90% of all the cities in California.
Is this the first time you've done an audit for Colfax?
No, it's
I think I've seen you before, but both of you have been involved in auditing Colfax.
I have, Heather is new because of Shayna, the previous administrative services officer, left. So we actually worked with her during the audit. And so she did most of the preparations for the audit. And then Heather came in. There were just a couple of open items that needed to be resolved that Heather worked on so that we could finalize the audit. So, yeah.
I just think it's a tribute to our staff. It really is, because we've had a lot of changes here, people coming and going, and these are really amazing numbers. And maybe we ought to spend a little more.
John, did you have any questions? I do have one question for you. If I was reading this correctly, and I may have missed something, in the recap that you had, it said unfunded pension liability nominal at 120,000. But I thought what I heard you say was it was 237,000 that was unfunded.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's 243,000, I believe, is what the liability is that's unfunded. And it only changed by about $3,000, I believe, during the year. So yeah, it should be 243.
Okay.
I think the 120 is just in the governmental. The liability gets split between governmental funds like the general fund and then the sewer fund. I think the 120 is just the governmental, the general fund piece. But in total, for including sewer funds, 243.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. All righty. We'll wrap that up. Okay, so where are we at? You don't need a motion to accept and receive that, do we? No. Okay. Nope. Okay, so moving right on to 8B. This is our Senate Bill 35 Affordable Housing Policy. And then, yep, Miss Kathy is here, and go right ahead, Ron.
All right. Okay. The city's general plan housing element identifies a series of actions that the city must implement during the current housing element cycle, 2021 to 2029. One of the implementation strategies identified is to adopt a policy to institute Senate Bill 35, which allows certain qualifying affordable housing projects to be approved ministerially. Kathy Peace with Planning Services here tonight to talk more about the item and answer council questions. Kathy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This is about the third or fourth time recently that I'm bringing items forward. As I had indicated in the past, we recently, last fall, had a audit with the state to check in on where we are with our housing element. So there's a whole bunch of things that were identified that we need to do. And so slowly as I have time, I'm ticking those off. And this is yet one of those items. So next slide. Senate Bill 35 has actually been in the works for a long time. It was approved in 2017. It requires that any affordable housing that comes forward that meets certain criteria has to be approved ministerially. And ministerial means allowed by right. We can only evaluate it against objective zoning and design standards, and it typically wouldn't be brought before the city council. It wouldn't be considered a entitlement. So if an affordable housing developer came in, there are certain deadlines. We'd have to act within 60 days of the application, or if it's a large project, within 90 days. Next slide. So we had identified this in our housing element as something that we would do. So it's requiring a written policy or procedure. So what I'm requesting tonight is a resolution to adopt a policy. Next slide. This talks about what those eligibility requirements are. It would have to be more than 2 units. It would have to meet our design standards. It would have to provide obviously affordable units. Certain projects greater than 10 units would have to be subject to prevailing wage, and it wouldn't be able to demolish existing housing. Next slide. So pretty simple. We're just asking to adopt this policy. It wouldn't constitute a project under CEQA because qualifying projects under this are not required to go through the CEQA. So that concludes my presentation. Let me know if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions from the public? Do we have any questions from the council? Yes. So you're going to move up to be a governor in a couple cycles and take care of it? Okay, so if we don't have any questions for Kathy, can I have a motion then?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No. All right, so motion passes. We have adopted the resolution for adopting the policy for Senate Bill 35. There you go. I will recap it for you, not a problem. All righty, the next item of council business this evening is discussion and consideration of a resolution approving a Wood Rogers contract to support planning for the Shady Glen Community Sewer Consolidation, there we go, project. All right, city manager, it's all you.
All right, thank you. Jim Fletter with Wood Rogers here tonight to talk about the Shady Glen Community Sewer Consolidation Project, and to ask the council to approve an agreement with Wood Rogers to provide planning and design of the project. Jim, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Mayor, City Council, Ron. I'm Jim Fletter with Wood Rogers. I've been working with the city for quite some time now. And this particular project has, taken its time to roll to this point where the city's about to get planning grant funds to study Shady Glen, which is a small mobile home park community with its own treatment plant and sewer system that has experienced some violations. The state was considering fining them. And so Regional Water Quality Control Board staff and the owners of Shady Glen approached the city manager at that time and said, can we do a letter of intent to consolidate Shady Glen into Colfax from a sewer perspective? So that was late 2022. And then May, June, we started the process of an application for that. The letter of intent was in May from both the city of Colfax and from Shady Glen. Then in June 2023, city contracted with Wood Rogers to prepare the application, which was submitted. Went back and forth a little bit, but the final kind of submittal was March, actually, of 2023. It then, so we submitted 2 grants. One was planning for Shady Glen consolidation, and then planning for upgrades that the city might need to do to its wastewater treatment plant. Other things that we couldn't do, they had to be separate applications because it's kind of a separate pile of money. The grant, the potential total grant, at least 2 years ago, was about 14 million for the Shady Glen project. Colfax could have done about $41 million in grant funds available to the city. Ultimately, the consolidation projects got high on the list of state priority, and they looked at the city project as being lower priority. So they decided to move forward with the consolidation project, and city's kind of left at this point with an application, but it's not approved at this point. So then we roll into that. So they've made that decision about December 2024. So it took another year for them to decide what they're going to fund. And then they got the grant agreement together in December of end of last year. And Ron has signed the agreement, and we're waiting for the state to countersign and send us it. And then the funds should be encumbered. Those funds are, I'll get into the funds later. So the highlight of the project, can you switch slides, is this is planning. So it's engineering studies, environmental studies in CEQA, preparing a construction grant application for construction and the grant funds for the construction. It also includes finishing the plans because the state decided they didn't want to fund the plans to completion. So it would be ready. It won't be shovel ready when we get the grant funds. We have to finish the plans. And then annexation, which is a huge part of this project. LAFCO basically says, if you're gonna serve a community, they need to be part of that community. So city limit stops up 174 before Shady Glen. We'll need to extend that basically to the sphere of influence, which is just north of Shady Glen, and encompass Shady Glen. We don't know exactly what the annexation, because what parcels will be annexed, because that's a city decision. But Road Rogers is assisting with that process. So it's really kind of a large, our contract is encompassing several different things, from environmental, engineering, planning, et cetera. I put this slide up. Next slide, please. We've had talks. We don't know exactly what the project will entail, but in the city manager, I've worked on this for 3 city managers now. So one thought is, what if we take a gravity line to the high school? That lift station 1 is the high schools, and we took it the long way, and then with gravity you can connect. If the city wants to expand their sphere of influence, city limits, people could connect to it. So that's definitely an alternative that we're going to consider in the planning process. The other one that is a lot simpler but limits who can connect is we put a lift station at Shady Glen and then a force main to Main Street, the North Main Street, and then let it gravity to the treatment plant from there. What's that? It's a lot of force main and nobody can connect to it. It's anybody who can gravity to Shady Glen can connect without a pump station. But so there's a lot of this, that we'll get into the meat of that. That's what the planning is for. So next slide. So the grant is 1.653 million. When the initial grant, we requested 2.3 million. Again, they didn't want to fund full plan development. And there were a couple other things. Well, a big savings was LAFCO decided to move forward with the MSR at their expense. So we had that wrapped into our contract to help with that. And then we pulled it out because I still kind of in our proposal, I say, I have it there as 0, just kind of a reminder that the city may want us to help with that at some point. I don't know. But we didn't put any dollar amount to that. So our contract is 1.3 million, encompasses all those things that we entail. The annexation being a really important piece, because if you can't get the community that's being annexed to agree to this, then it goes nowhere. So we've got a fantastic team in this greater Sacramento area. As a director, Al Johnson, who's done lots of these, he's super experienced, and we've got a financial expert for the what do you call that? There's a reason they don't have me doing annexations. The how are you going to pay for the upgrade and services? The service, that's what it's called, is the service, expanded service financials. And then we have a legal advisor in Marcus DeLuca, and a LAFCO liaison. So those are, they'll be consultants to us. And then we have our planning manager who's going to lead that whole group. And then I'm mostly leading the other pieces of that. And then the city, I very consciously tried to get the city the funding available for the city in that grant as high as possible, because so often, you know, it costs more than you think. I think there's enough for the city to expense a lot of administration. We got some sewer studies. We got to put financial package together. And then I do have the city contracting with, if we do CCTV inspections or other testing of the sewer system, city contracting directly with that. And go ahead and ask any questions if you want while we're on these slides. But and then a quick timeline. Next slide. So presumably we'll get the funds allocated here in February, I'm thinking. But as soon as that, we'll have a kickoff meeting starting hopefully this month. The studies should take a year. Environmental is going to take, it won't start immediately, but after the studies are done, then the environmental gets going. So I see 27 as kind of the period for the environmental studies. Again, 30% design, which is really the studies, finishing that up. And then the construction grant application, finishing that up in 27. Now, I always say with council approval, because at the end of the project, you guys might say, you know what, we don't like this project. So why submit a grant application if we don't want to move forward with the project? So this is just planning, no commitment to actually do construction. I'm anticipating, and I'm always underestimating the time it'll take the state to approve the construction grant. But I'm estimating 2028, and then the construction agreement signed in 2029. But we still need to probably 3 to 6 months to get the plans to bid state, go out to bid and start construction. So that's my estimate of timeline right at this point. And that's it.
It's a mouthful to think about. Do we have any questions from the public? No? All right, then we're going to bring it back to us for questions from you guys.
I have a question. So this is state money, right?
This is
Basically,
100%
coming from the state.
It's either going to be what's called a full grant or a principal forgiveness loan. So it's a loan that then you don't have to pay back.
I like those kind of loans. But it basically is the state is rescuing Shady Glen, and the money's flowing through us, and it will become part of Colfax, and it seems like a good solution to me.
And my anticipation, this city will have to own the sewer system. So
yes,
we'll have easements where any sewer pipes go or where there's a pump station. We'll have easements, but the city's choice, do they want to take on those private streets? I don't know, but That's basically the same, because it's a grant, they can't grant to a private company agency or a private entity. So the city has to own the sewer part of it.
Right. No, it seems like a good thing to do. As far as the route, it just seems like it makes sense to come along 174 rather than let gravity ship it down to the school and then pump it back up the hill again to get to where it needs to go. That I know that's been problematic in the past. There have been people up in that part of town where I'm not sure exactly where the pump is, down below the park, where they have to plug up their sinks and plug up their toilets just to keep the odor from coming back into the house during certain times when it's really pumping. And it seems like we'd be inviting more of that.
Yep.
I know that's just one of the considerations, but it just seems like it makes sense to follow along the highway.
And an important part of my process will be getting everybody's input. We did significant workshops just for the application, meeting with Shady Glen and meeting with council member subcommittees. So it's the input of the community is the number one thing, is what do you guys want? Because when we already know, we've already had people, the owners of some of that land up there that like the idea of trying to encourage bringing the sewer system, because then it becomes much more developable land. So there might be some pressure that pops up or going the opposite direction. And then, just that drives up the cost for projects. Now you're going to have to upgrade wherever the pump station is, because the high school pumps to another pump station just next door. And that's the one that goes up to the ballpark. And then what I understand is the stinky part is going down Grass Valley, is one area that I hear gets a little odorous.
Well, that's still ahead, those decisions, right?
Yeah, that's all planning and yes.
Thank you.
Yes, quick question. So if everything goes smoothly, do you think by the year 2031, we will be able to experience a first toilet flush?
I think 2 years of construction is a good time frame. I would say 1 year to 3 years. And if I say 2 years, it'll be 3 years. We'll really get the estimate for construction when we get the plans together and figure out the extent of it.
So my question for you is, obviously, there are two separate sections of money, like you said. There's the Shady Glen and the extra building, but there's our sewer plant. And we can't do this if that sewer plant doesn't get upgraded. How do we make sure both of those come right along together?
Okay, so I've already reached out when I looked at what's called the IUP, the state's list of fundable projects. When I saw the last list come out, the Colfax construction project was not on the list. I immediately emailed and said, hey, why is it not on there? And just kind of got diverted for now, but we need to make sure that application stays on there, because I suspect, especially with Ron, that if they don't move the improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, you guys are going to say, no, we don't want to move forward with the project. And that's going to put pressure on the state to put that project and to fund it to what's necessary. I was able to, I'm not going to call it sneak because that's a bad word, but I was able to get the funding in this project enough that we can really take a look at the effects on the treatment plant and some of the downstream pieces with the Shady Glen project, because you got to know that how important. So that's really gonna, if we show that, hey, this Shady Glen is going to really have some major impacts, that the Colfax project needs to become a priority on your funding list as well. But that's a battle for this year.
Whatever we need to do, because like you said, we cannot do Shady Glen if we cannot get those improvements at the same time. We just don't have the capacity for it. So whatever we need to do to make sure that stays a priority on that other list to get approved.
And the other concern I have from the very beginning was 14 million for building a gravity system in Shady Glen, a pump station, a force main, if that we went that direction, and decommissioning the existing wastewater treatment plant. I don't see it.
That's not a lot.
So the city project would have augmented that piece of it,
Mhm.
could have augmented it and made it whole. But so
We'll just cross our fingers and hope they can move together.
let's do more than cross our fingers. Let's keep the pressure on them.
Okay, whatever you need, you just tell us what you need to, how we can help with it, so.
Okay.
All right, do we have any other questions? No, half of this is the Sean show on the LAFCO side to make sure the county is gonna kick back what we need to be able to take care of those roads and everything as we
Yeah.
incorporate them, so.
So, I mean, I can bring up business now. We're talking about a kickoff meeting. Two people that on our side that are gonna be in the kickoff meeting is me for engineering and Vance, who's the planner on our team,
Mhm.
Wood Rogers, to start talking about annexation and
We're already deep in talks about that with LAP.
Yeah, I know you
And
are.
going through the
I
process.
know you are. So that actually may, because annexation was my biggest concern about time frame. I'm figuring two years from annexation. People are saying you guys are far enough along that it may be pretty simple.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, so
be by
we
this
want to get
year.
our hands around that and say, because that could boost this from being a 2-year project to being a 1-year project study, because.
Yep. I'll be looking forward to the kickoff meeting.
Okay, so think about who we'll have in the kickoff meeting. That conversation.
All right, okay, so then we're gonna bring it back to council. If you don't have any more questions, do we have a motion
So moved.
to execute the Wood Rogers contract? What you want? Okay, so we have a motion from Larry. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, no objections, so it passes. We are good to go. Thank you so much, Jim. We appreciate your time. All right, so we're down to good of the order. Did you want us to circle back? You're good? Okay. Thank you. All right, we're down to good of the order. What you got, Sean?
Nothing for tonight. Let's go home.
Okay, just a reminder, tomorrow, same time, same back channel, town hall meeting, the first one. So everybody show up at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
I would just add the same comment. It means like you guys can come and talk and engage with us and we'll talk back and work together to do what you're looking for. So I like the idea. And the second question I have is that as this sphere of influence process goes further, will that come back to the council? I don't know who that's a question for, but I'm expecting that would come back before the whole council as to how we do that.
Yes. Yeah, we'll give a report and LAPCO staff will give a report, or me and Josh will give a report on the process and where we're at and what came out of it.
All right, so yes, tomorrow are two exciting things. First off, you get to go have lunch or dinner down at the Pizza Factory in Auburn, because that is a fundraiser for the 3rd of July. You all want the 3rd of July fireworks to rival what we had at Winterfest. By the way, that means about $15,000 we need to pay for those fireworks. So go down to Pizza Factory. And we planned it on Thursday. They picked out because they do their buffet for lunch and dinner. And they include ice cream on Thursdays. So you get pizza salad, but you got to make sure to mention the 3rd of July when you go down there. And then, yes, we'll be back here at 6 o'clock tomorrow for our first town hall meeting. We did have to put a topic on it. So the topic is our community's suggestions for small improvement projects, things we can do in the next year to kind of give Colfax a little facelift and keep on the path that we have been going to get things improved. So we're here to listen to your ideas and answer questions. Connor, you got anything? Yes?
And also take
notes. Yeah.
Sorry about that. And the other agendized topic is the next session's topic. So if you have something you want the council to meet with the public on, show up and
For the next meeting, right.
provide input on that.
Okay, so Katrina, if you want to walk up to the podium. So we've recently hired Katrina Olson as our new administrative service officer. Katrina has multiple decades in accounting and management level experience, including that of city manager. And so after tonight, please take a moment to stop by our office, poke your head and say hi, but she's here to answer questions or tell you a little about herself.
Katrina Olson. I've lived in Nevada County since I was 7. Took a brief moment and did stuff and then came back, but I went through the school system in Nevada County and glad to be back local. I spent 14 years in Nevada City, growing up there, left there as city manager, went over to Grass Valley for 4 years and was the deputy finance director and administrative services. So I handled all the finance, HR, risk management. Went from there and spent a completely different year down in Roseville at Placer Superior Court. Decided that the commute wasn't really up my alley. So I started looking back here and talked to my husband and said, when something local comes up, I'm gonna come back. And this came up and I applied for it. Felt like a good fit. Everybody seems really great and I'm really glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much. We are so excited to have you up here, without a doubt. So welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any public comment on any of our good of the orders that we said? Nope. All right. So we have no closed session. So at that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.